The math didn't add up. Andrell Whitaker sat in the visiting room of Greenfield Correctional Facility, staring at the photograph his girlfriend had just slid across the table. A baby, a newborn boy, wrapped in a blue blanket, eyes closed, tiny fists curled. "His name is Jordan," Aaliyah said, smiling through the glass. "Jordan Andrell Whitaker, after you." Andrell looked at the photo, then at Aaliyah, then at the calendar in his mind. He had been locked up for 14 months. The baby was 3 weeks old. The math didn't add up, and Aaliyah was acting like he wouldn't notice. Let's rewind. Andrell and Aaliyah met in 2018. High school sweethearts who never quite grew out of each other. They dated on and off for years, broke up twice, got back together 3 times. By 2021, they were solid, living together, talking about marriage, planning a future. Then Andrell made a mistake. A friend needed help moving some packages across town. "Easy money," he said, "no risk, in and out." Andrell knew better, but he needed the cash. Rent was due. Aaliyah's car needed repairs. Life was squeezing him from every direction. He said yes. 3 hours later, he was in handcuffs. The judge gave him 3 years. With good behavior, he'd be out in 2. Aaliyah promised to wait. "I'm not going anywhere," she said, tears streaming down her face. "You're my man. I'll be here when you get out." Andrell believed her. He shouldn't have. Prison changes people, not always in obvious ways. Sometimes it's subtle, a hardening around the edges, a numbness that creeps in to protect you from the monotony and the violence and the crushing weight of lost time. Andrell tried to stay positive. He called Aaliyah every week, wrote letters when he could afford the stamps, held onto the image of their life together like a lifeline. She visited regularly at first, every 2 weeks without fail. She would sit across from him, hold his hand through the glass, tell him about her job, her family, the apartment they shared. Then the visits slowed. Once a month, then every 6 weeks, then barely at all. "Work is crazy," she explained. "I'm picking up extra shifts, saving money for when you come home." Andrell understood, or told himself he did. But late at night, lying on his bunk, staring at the ceiling, doubt crept in. Something felt different. Something felt wrong. He just couldn't prove it. 14 months into his sentence, Aaliyah showed up with the photograph. Andrell stared at it for a long time. When was he born? 3 weeks ago, October 15th. Andrell did the math silently. October 15th. Conception would have been roughly 9 months earlier. January. He had been arrested in August of the previous year. He had been in prison for 5 months when this baby was conceived. "Aaliyah." His voice was calm. Too calm. "Yeah, baby? How is this my son?" She blinked. "What do you mean?" "I've been locked up for 14 months. This baby is 3 weeks old. You want to explain how that works?" Aaliyah's smile faltered. Just for a second. Then she recovered. "Baby, I know it seems confusing, but it's not confusing. It's impossible. I wasn't there. I couldn't have been the father. Andrell, please, who is he?" Silence. The visiting room felt suddenly smaller. The hum of fluorescent lights buzzed overhead. Other inmates and their families continued their conversations, oblivious to the world crumbling at table 7. Aaliyah's eyes filled with tears. "I can explain, but some explanations only make things worse." She told him it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, loneliness, desperation. His name was Calvin, a co-worker, someone who was there when Andrell wasn't. "It didn't mean anything," Aaliyah insisted. "I was falling apart without you. I needed someone to hold me. So you got pregnant by another man and put my name on the birth certificate?" She flinched. I thought if you believed he was yours, you'd have something to come home to. A reason to stay strong. A reason to get through this." Andrell laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "You thought lying to me about another man's baby would help me?" "I was scared, Andrell. I didn't know what else to do. You could have told me the truth. And lost you forever?" He looked at her, at the woman he had loved since he was 17 years old, the woman he had planned to marry, the woman who had just blown his entire world apart. "You've already lost me." He stood up. "Andrell, please, don't come back here. Don't write. Don't call. We're done." He walked away without looking back. And Aaliyah sat alone, holding a photograph of a baby whose father she had just lost the right to name. The next 6 months were the hardest of Andrell's life, not because of the prison. He had learned to survive that, but because of the betrayal. Every night he replayed their conversations, every promise she had made, every "I love you" that now felt like a lie. He wondered how long it had been going on, if Calvin was the only one, if anything she had ever told him was true. The doubt poisoned everything. He stopped calling home, stopped writing letters, stopped caring about anything except getting through each day. His cellmate noticed the change. Woman trouble? Andrel didn't answer. Let me give you some advice, young blood. Whatever she did, it ain't worth destroying yourself over. You got time to serve. Serve it. Get out. Build a new life. Don't let her take your future just because she took your past. It was simple advice, but sometimes simple is what you need. Andrel threw himself into rehabilitation. He got his GED, took vocational classes, learned electrical work, kept his head down and his record clean. The parole board noticed. 18 months into his sentence, he was granted early release. He walked out of Greenfield Correctional on a Tuesday morning with $40 in his pocket and nowhere to go. His mother picked him up at the gate. "I'm proud of you," she said, hugging him tight. "You made it through. I don't know what I'm supposed to do now. You figure it out, one day at a time. That's all any of us can do." She didn't mention Aaliyah, neither did he. 3 months after his release, Andrel got a letter. No return address, just his name, written in handwriting he recognized immediately. He almost threw it away without reading it. Almost. "Andrel, I know you don't want to hear from me. I know I don't deserve your time or your forgiveness, but I need you to know something. Jordan asks about you. He's 2 years old now. He's walking, talking, and every time he sees a picture of you, he points and says, 'Dada.' I know he's not yours by blood. I know what I did was unforgivable, but you're the only father he's ever known. The only name on his birth certificate. The only man I ever told him about. Calvin is gone. He left when Jordan was 6 months old. He didn't want to be a father. He didn't want the responsibility. I'm not asking you to come back to me. I'm asking you to consider being in Jordan's life. He deserves a father. And despite everything, you're a good man. If you can find it in your heart to meet him, even once, I would be grateful. I'm sorry, Andrel, for everything. Aaliyah." Andrel read the letter 5 times. Each time he felt something different. Anger, sadness, confusion, and somewhere, buried deep beneath all the hurt, something else. Curiosity. He had never met Jordan, had only seen that one photograph slid across a prison visiting table. But for 2 years, that boy had believed Andrel was his father, had pointed at his picture and said, "Dada." That meant something, didn't it? Or was he just being manipulated again? He called his mother for advice. "That's a hard one, baby," she said. "That woman lied to you, used you, put another man's child in your name without your consent." "I know. But that child didn't do anything wrong. He's innocent in all this." "I know that too. So what does your heart tell you?" Andrel closed his eyes. "My heart doesn't know what to think anymore." "Then take your time. There's no rush. But if you decide to meet that boy, do it for him, not for her. And definitely not out of obligation. Do it because you want to." And that was the question Andrel couldn't answer. Did he want to? 6 weeks later, he agreed to meet Jordan. Not at Aaliyah's apartment, not anywhere private, at a park in broad daylight with his mother present as a buffer. He didn't know what to expect. What he found was a 2-year-old boy with bright eyes and a gap-toothed smile running across the grass toward him like they had known each other forever. "Dada!" The word hit Andrel like a truck. Jordan crashed into his legs, hugging them tight, looking up with pure, unfiltered joy. "Dada, home!" Andrel knelt down slowly, looked into the face of a child who wasn't his, a child who had been lied into existence, at least as far as Andrel was concerned. But Jordan didn't know any of that. Jordan only knew that the man in the photograph was finally real. And in that moment, something shifted inside Andrel. He didn't forgive Aaliyah. He wasn't sure he ever would, but he started visiting Jordan, first once a month, then every other week, then every weekend. He took him to the park, taught him to throw a ball, read him bedtime stories through video calls when he couldn't be there in person. Aaliyah kept her distance as promised. She facilitated the visits but didn't push for more, didn't try to rekindle what they had lost. Maybe she understood that some bridges can't be rebuilt, but new ones can be built alongside the rubble. And Andrel was building something new. When Jordan turned 5, he started asking questions. "Dada, why don't you live with us?" Andrel paused. He had been dreading this conversation. "Because grown-up relationships are complicated, buddy, but that doesn't change how much I love you." "But you're my daddy, right?" Andrel looked at this boy, this child who carried another man's DNA but had only ever known one father. "Yeah, Jordan, I'm your daddy. Forever, forever. Because fatherhood isn't about biology, it's about choice. And Andrel had made his. The truth about Calvin came out eventually. Andrell was the one who told Jordan when the boy was 12, old enough to understand, old enough to deserve honesty. There's a man named Calvin, Andrell said carefully. He's your biological father. That means he helped create you. Jordan listened. His face was unreadable. But he left. He didn't want to be part of your life. I did. I chose to be your father, even though I didn't have to, even though it was hard. Jordan was quiet for a long moment. Does that mean you're not my real dad? Andrell shook his head. I'm the realest dad you've got. Blood doesn't make family, Jordan. Love does. Showing up does. Being there when it matters does. Jordan nodded slowly. I don't want to meet him. Calvin, I mean. You don't have to, ever. That's your choice. Good. Jordan looked up. Because I already have a dad, and he's the only one I need. Andrell hugged his son and didn't let go for a long time. Years later, Jordan graduated high school with honors. Andrell sat in the front row, watching his son walk across the stage, diploma in hand. Aaliyah sat a few seats away. They were cordial now, co-parents in the truest sense. Not together, but not enemies either. After the ceremony, Jordan found Andrell in the crowd. Thanks for being here, Dad. Wouldn't miss it for the world. I mean, thanks for all of it. For choosing me when you didn't have to. For staying even when it would have been easier to walk away. Andrell put his hand on Jordan's shoulder. Choosing you was the easiest decision I ever made. Jordan smiled. Even though Mom lied, even though I wasn't really yours, you were always mine, Jordan. From the moment I decided to be your father, you were mine. And that was the truth, the only truth that had ever mattered. She named him as the father on the birth certificate. He was in prison when she got pregnant. The math never added up. But fatherhood isn't about math. It's about presence, sacrifice, the daily choice to show up for someone who needs you. Andrell Whitaker wasn't Jordan's biological father, but he was his dad. And nothing, not lies, not betrayal, not even time itself, could ever change that. Epilogue. The letter Jordan wrote. On Father's Day, the year Jordan turned 25, he gave Andrell an envelope. What's this? Open it. Inside was a handwritten letter. 3 pages, folded carefully. Dear Dad, I've been trying to write this letter for years. Every time I start, I can't find the right words. But today, I'm going to try. When I was little, I didn't understand why you didn't live with us. I thought maybe you didn't love me enough. I thought maybe I had done something wrong. As I got older, I learned the truth about Mom, about Calvin, about the lie on my birth certificate. I learned that you were in prison when I was conceived, that you had every reason to walk away, that most men would have, but you didn't. You came to the park that day when I was 2 years old. You let me crash into your legs and call you Dada, even though you had no obligation to accept that name. You taught me to throw a ball. You helped me with homework. You showed up to every school play, every basketball game, every moment that mattered. You didn't have to do any of that, but you did. I used to wonder what made you stay. What made you choose a child who wasn't yours, born from a woman who had betrayed you. Now I think I understand. You stayed because that's who you are. You're the kind of man who shows up, the kind of man who keeps his word, the kind of man who believes that love is a verb, not just a feeling. I'm who I am today because of you. My work ethic, my integrity, my belief that family is something you build, not something you're born into. All of that came from you. So thank you, Dad. Thank you for choosing me. Thank you for staying. Thank you for being the father I needed, even when you had every excuse not to be. I love you, not because you raised me, not because your name is on my birth certificate, but because you earned that love every single day for 23 years. Happy Father's Day. Your son, Jordan Andrell, read the letter 3 times. By the second time, his eyes were blurred with tears. By the third, he had given up trying to hold them back. I don't know what to say, he finally managed. Jordan smiled. You don't have to say anything. I just wanted you to know. You know, Andrell said slowly, when I first found out about you, about the lie, I thought my life was over. What changed? Andrell looked at his son. You did. That day at the park when you ran toward me yelling Dada. Something broke inside me, but something healed too. And you chose to stay. I chose you. Same thing. Some mistakes can't be undone, but sometimes they can be transformed.